Hello. Welcome to my huge channel. So I'm gonna continue on with this whole book perfume journey. Oh, I hate that word. How about I just talk about let's talk about this. So of course I'm gonna make it into more of a philosophical conversation I'm having with my head based on what I'm experiencing right now. So at first, the idea of putting perfume and books together was kind of kitsch. You see that with perfumes and songs sometimes, and perfumes and something else that's kind of popular for people to do. Maybe films. I know Saver Salvation has done that here recently, a little exploration over several weeks or several months. I'm not sure how long she's been doing it. Anyway, so it feels a little kitsch to me, but I still liked it, right? And so I started doing it a month ago. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but even though it was still kitsch to me, what I've discovered is it's more interesting. It's more psychologically interesting to me. So the last time, I haven't had a very good February reading month. It took me, what did I count up? 11 days to read this sucker, which is, I'm not a fast reader at all, but it was faster than even my slow reading habits. I tried to read, sorry, I've got a stack here. I tried to read Quin Berg. She was one of the working class writers. 4 days laboring over to get up to 22 pages. She reads more like poetry, which me and poetry don't usually get along well. I'm not DNFing it forever, but for now, I'm just not in the headspace to read that one, apparently. And then I just picked this one up today, finally, because I was laboring over Quin and trying I'll get through this all, and it's like, why suffer? So I switched over today, and this is just a little throwaway book. You know, it's really short. It's Kate, what's her name? Zambreno Animal Stories. I've gotten through a quarter of this tonight. Oh, it doesn't even look like a quarter, but, zoos. Nonfiction about zoos. I don't know. I guess I kind of have not felt... Nothing seems eye-opening, there's nothing here that I haven't thought myself. So it was like, and there's no beautiful turns of phrases, but it's still good. So I'll read it. But anyway, and that's all I read. That's all I read, or am reading. And so the last time when I posted a video, just as I was beginning this one, The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco, I was thinking, ooh, I'll try to develop a scent memory by just wearing one perfume while I read one book. And, of course, I realized I couldn't do it very well. But I don't think it's just because, I need more distraction. Yeah, I have a lot of perfume, and I vary it and juggle a lot, and I wear a lot and change it up fairly frequently. I mean, there's been times when I've only used one perfume for days on end, but that's more rare than what I usually just wear one perfume a day and just change it up. But that's not who I am as a person. Usually I can become obsessive about stuff. So I would have thought that it would be it would be more easy to just try one perfume at a time. But I don't think it's just because I needed diversity in my life. I think I'm actually trying to pair... I'm trying to find the right perfume to go with the book. So I had been wearing this Grandenia. I said I was going to wear this one with this book. And this perfume did not match the book. Now, yes, this is an old, it's set in the 1300s. And this I said felt like it was a 70-year-old perfume I had found, like, you know, some, like, literally 70-year-old thing in the back of somebody's closet, found in somebody's back, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. But this perfume feels much more grand dame to me. It feels like it's very warm and animalic in its own way, even though the only animalic is really oud here, and it's not even the funky oud. But it's got, oh my god, I finally identified those spices. So I'm still adhering to the fact that there's so many notes here, and I can't really detect most of them. But what I finally realized that I was smelling were the desiccated spices, kitchen spices. I don't know if it's the cinnamon or the saffron. I have trouble identifying saffron in perfume and in real life when I have been exposed to it. But it's just so desiccated. It's so dry, which would make you think it makes sense in a place like a monastery, you know, dusty old books and blah blah blah. And it didn't really work. So I stopped wearing it after a little while. And then I started going down the path of, okay, let's find another one that may work better. And I picked Relique d'Amour from Oriza L Legrand. Weirdly, I saw some video that enlightened me. I thought this house was like a designer, like a fashion designer. And it sounds like this was one of those old perfume houses from the 1700s. And then it's one of the ones that went defunct and then was revived here. I don't remember anymore. 20 years ago? 10 years ago? I don't know. But relatively recently. But anyway, but this, talking of kitsch, this is kitsch to me because I was being almost literal, because everybody talked about this one being very crypt-like. I don't know. It's cold, right? It's cold stone. So it's very fascinating to me because, well, let me not even go there yet. But I was putting this because I was being more literal. And what I realized is that it's too fake to me. It's too, again, kitsch. It didn't work very well. But let me talk about this one for a short second. So I've been in this lily phase for a couple months now. I really like lilies. And everybody and I don't know if this was a reformulation that I got. I got this a couple years ago during the Black Friday sales. It was either 23 or 24. Probably 23 if I had to guess. But the lilies are not as prominent as everybody talks about. At least they're not the lilies that I've come to associate with, like the Umli of Serge type of lilies, which is much more, it's usually a pairing of vanilla, and it's musky, and that unctuous, gloopy, white floral kind of thing that a lot of times you get with tuberose. But there's no tuberose, but I'm just saying it's usually that, but vanilla based, right? The vanilla musky based. This doesn't smell like tonic or any kind of milky or any kind of anything at all. And so I was disappointed in a way because I wasn't getting what I was expecting, even though I've smelled this before, but whatever. But there's definitely a cold austerity to this. And yes, it does feel like I always go to a crypt, even though I think a lot of people would go to churches, you know, that old churches, like old stone churches, which, so one thing about being out west, or at least in Alaska, no, west too, you don't get the big cathedral, like the stone cathedrals that you do in Europe or, you know, where I kind of grew up, northern New Jersey, because there was a lot of immigrants in the turn of the 20th century that coming in, at least to my little town in Passaic, and I realized there was a lot of churches around where I lived, and it was because of the different waves of immigrants coming in, because I went to a school that was Hungarian, connected to a Hungarian church. There was another one, there was a lot of Polish what was the one that I went to St. Mary's to? Anyway, it's not like most churches out here are not like that. So that's the one drawback of the West, or one of the drawbacks of the West I found. This atheist is upset by her church architecture. Anyway, excuse me. So yeah, this is quite cool, but again, I was feeling it was like, Oh, the other thing about why I got rid, or I stopped wearing the Grandenia, was because, and this is kind of silly, but it's true. Like, this is basically a male like there's one female character I think that I can remember in this whole freaking book, right? It's monks, and this felt, when I said grand dame, it felt like it belonged on an old lady, like a grand lady, and this is like it didn't match up. So then I go here, which makes sense. It's cold and austere and, you know, very male and rational. And it didn't work for me. So I went to another one. So this is, I don't know, ones I keep in a box, actually. So this is one of the scent trunk perfumes that I got several years ago. If I had to guess, 21 is when I purchased these. So this one is Black Frankincense by Donna El Masri. And she's the lady that runs Jazmin Sarai. And at the time I didn't know, like, I hadn't even been exposed to Jazmin Sarai. I had only picked up this. And when I picked it up, I hated it. I thought it was the most blah. So this is actually, so I bought all those. I actually got the 5 ml little things. And the fact that I purchased this was so strange to me because I really didn't like it. It was intoxicating in a way. It's definitely frankincense, but it's a milky frankincense. What else has it got? Like, does it show here? I know it's got Tulsi. Tulsi comes to mind. But, you know, this frankincense, frankincense are, the little bubbly, not crystalline, but they live in a different register, whereas when it's like tonic, it's in a way heavy, I guess. But then I wanted to smell it, right? Back then too, like, even though I didn't like it, I wanted to keep going back to it. And I thought it was so but do you guys ever go through that where it's like you want to smell the and I love it for that reason. And what's interesting is that she came out, she being the perfumer at Jazmin Sarai, she has a perfume that she brought out here, I don't know, the last couple of years, maybe, called Mystica. And I was like, this smells very familiar. And then I realized, because I hadn't worn this in friggin' years, right? Put it in the back, one of the ones that was in the back of my closet. And when I tried the Mystica, it smelled familiar to me. And then when I finally brought this out a couple weeks ago, or a couple days, no, it was like a week ago, maybe, I can't do math in my head, I realized this was like her base, and she just tweaked it to put out Mystica, I think, because that one also is a frankincense with a lactonic milky accord. And I should probably bring out Mystica and try like a direct sample, like side by side sampling, just to see the difference. Comparison, that's the word. Anyway, I think this one came closest to matching what this book gave and feel. And I'm seriously like on an exploration of trying to match the books and what I'm reading with the perfumes. I'm not just like, oh, let's put two things together. And I'm excited for that, for me doing that. But it's not easy to like figure out what matches what. Sometimes I just get lucky. Because it took me at least 3 times. No, I actually have another one that I brought out for once. Timothy Hahn's Heart of Darkness. I can talk about that later at some point. But no, this was like the fourth one that I had to try to get used to. And I don't know if that's because it took me that long to really live in this book and understand, get the feel of the book. I like this concept. I like this concept of trying to find that connection, like the real, like what perfumes actually match. Because, so this is the other thing that came to mind was, so I'm on the Myers-Briggs. I like a lot of those behavioral, I don't even know what they would be called. They're trying to like sort people into their buckets. I like the Enneagram. I find the Enneagram interesting, and I find Myers-Briggs interesting. But I'm an INTP, and the stereotypical what's the word? I'm never gonna come up with the word, but like the stereotype of the character of the type of person is like an absent-headed professor, and I live in my head, right? And so, while in the past, when I'm living in the real world and I'm trying all my perfumes, it never feels like I'm truly diving into what the perfume is, because it's almost like I'm trying to adapt a perfume to a world that I don't fully inhabit, the real world. But books, I can, or just the thoughts in my head and books, I can get lost, and I feel really like that's where my brain lives, where I live. And it's funny that my relationship with the perfumes feel more profound. That's a stupid word, but it does. It feels like I'm more in touch with the perfumes in the last couple of weeks, which I'm excited by. But it makes sense based on my type, my INT type, that I would feel that way more. Anyway, it's fascinating me. Okay, so the next book that I brought out was Quin Berg. So usually I don't read blurbs on backs of books. I read like the first couple lines maybe, but I don't usually read the whole thing. But I did in this one, and it talked about the violence. So when I chose this one, I opened up my closet and I was like, I don't know what to pick. But I happened to go to my Serge little area, and the first one that I picked up was Datura Noir. And holy crap, this one, talking about being in touch with a perfume, I didn't remember what this smelled like at all. I remember, like, I probably really haven't touched this probably since 2021. And I remember not liking it that much. So it's a tuberose fragrance, or at least that's what I feel initially. And at the time, I was not a fan of tuberose. In fact, I think at that point, I was still definitely getting headaches from tuberose. I don't anymore, but I kind of had dismissed this perfume. And I brought this out because the Datura Noir, right, that's supposedly a deadly plant, which I was tying with the violence in here. And oh my god, the journey this thing takes me. So at first, it's very that tuberose coconut center that I think a lot of people grab onto as like, oh, it's a beach fragrance, because you get the coconut, people think of their sunscreen. But then, oh my god, the mid when the osmanthus comes into play, this is such a delicate, beautiful flower. That whole apricot-y. I think apricot's also listed in the note listing, but it's the actual osmanthus, because the flower, the delicate flower tied to that apricot sweetness. Oh my god. Heaven. Oh my god, heaven. And then it dries down into this creaminess, which you would think that I would have got at the beginning with the tuberose and the coconut, but I don't really feel the creaminess till, I guess it's the vanilla that comes out. But oh my god, that delicate osmanthus flower. Oh my god. Heaven. Like heaven. So so what came up? So I started, you just scroll the internet like you do. And Gauguin, a recent release from Francesca Bianchi came up. And it had white florals and I think some kind of peachy apricot-y note. I don't remember exactly anymore. But then I saw, oh man, it's sold out, so I don't get to see it. But it took me down, and I don't know if the algorithm's that good, or I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I don't say out loud that I'm interested in that shows up. So either AI is getting really good and can read your mind, but I don't know if it's coincidence or not. But when I scroll on Instagram, what's it called? Subscribed to Francesca Bianchi's private. For a long time, I thought that was just a fan, but I think it actually is her Instagram account. But anyway, so that's where I saw this Gauguin show up, and then I went down this I went into a little bit looking at her perfumes, because I bought several in 2020, 2021. And I don't watch the perfume guy anymore, is that Sebastian? But Dahlia was on relatively recently, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. And there was a video that came up when I, typed in Francesca Bianchi just to see if there were any videos out there of Gauguin, but then this other video came up. And they went through a lot of her perfumes, and Dahlia really liked Black Knight. I don't think it was her favorite, but it was up there. And I remembered that I liked this one as well. And so Black Knight, another one I have not reached for since I bought it 5 years ago. And this was another one much like this Black Frankincense, which I remember, I was thinking of it as animalic, but when you look back at the notes, I don't see, it doesn't read necessarily animalic, except maybe the leather. But this was another one that I really didn't like. So that house, this wasn't a blind buy. I had gotten the whole sample of her stuff. And I agonized over this one, hated it, but loved it at the same time. And I don't know, maybe I was just in the frame of mind of being excited about wearing the Black Frankincense for a few days. Then I tried this one again, and this is another one that, oh my God. So I struggle with Francesca Bianchi's DNA. Everybody calls it her orris butter leather concoction, I think, or DNA, her version of Guerlainade, but her Bianca Guerlainade, Bianca Nod. And I truly did back then as well, and I still have trouble with it. But I was so excited because I finally smell I forget which portion of, it might have been the mid or maybe the dried out, I don't know. But I finally understood what people meant by orris accord. I don't smell this as iris at all. To me, iris is a pretty note. It's pretty water. Sometimes it can be a little obnoxious when it gets carroty, but iris in general is just a pretty thing. And her DNA of using this orris butter is not pretty, in my opinion. It's so addictive, though. And I got excited because I actually, I felt it. I don't know if I smelled the iris, but I felt the butter. Orris butter. I felt the butter. And it was so freaking good. And I'm excited because I think I smell caraway. Not entirely sure this is true. I don't know if I've just convinced myself, but I'm pretty sure, I think I smell caraway, which that's one of her note listings. And it's so friggin', it's funny because I never even I wore this 3 days right in a row, and I wore, I didn't even notice the smoke, which is crazy to me because that's all this thing is. It's just from the top to the bottom, it's smoky. And I didn't realize that's what I was smelling. And it's just, this thing is mad. Oops, I dropped the cap. Okay, later. This thing is so, I hate it, but I love it. Love it. So anyway, yeah. So I'm so excited. I'm excited about perfume again. You know, I went for that time where I'm like, I like my perfume. You know, I can be cerebral about it. But I love the stuff that I'm wearing these days. What was the last one that I brought out? Where is it? Oh. So, because I got this out and loved it. So I got Under My Skin. So I've got 4 of her perfumes, I think. But I also got the Sublime oil back then when she first released it. Because this was the one Bianchi back then that I could wear, and I wasn't, like, it didn't have her Bianca knot that I wasn't that crazy about. But this stuff was magic to me, so I wanted to get the oil. So anyway, I got scared because I think Dahlia and Sebastian in their video talked about how animalic it had gotten sitting there. Or maybe it was a different video. I don't know, but somebody talked about how much animalic it got. And I remember back then when I was first exposed to this perfume and when I was watching people like Amina. I miss experiencing fragrances with Amina. And some other people who tried it and loved it. And I remember people talking about how animalic it was back then. But there was 1 or 2 people who talked about the gourmandy essence of this, which I got so excited about because that's what I smell. I smell this beautiful musky or gourmandy musk, right? A sweet musk. I don't smell this animalic at all, but I'm scared. Not scared, but I was interested to see if it would turn very animalic based on this recent video that I watched. Didn't. It smells exactly. It smells exactly like it did 5 years ago. And it's just, and I put this all over my body. So this was my perfume for today. And I think in my mind, that's why I may have reached for this one, because it was supposedly animalic, and this one was about animal stories. It's about things in a zoo. Things. People. People? Would you call animals people? Are people only animal, or only humans, or are people beings? I don't know. Anyway, but I think that's why I reached for this, because I put my, I don't know, I don't remember which one I got first. But anyway, but it doesn't smell animalic to me at all. It just smells, I need to get out my Mona Diorio, that musk, because that's another one that's very, no, but that one's more oppressive. That one's more oppressive. It's one of the oppressive musks. I mean, I still like it, but this one, at least here, I didn't bring out the perfume, but in this oil concentration, it's very weirdly, because most musks read oppressive to me, but this one doesn't. This is very ethereal in a way. It's very, it's so yummy. It's so yummy. So I probably need to start wearing this sucker, this oil. But it's good to know that the sublime oil does not go bad. At least mine didn't. Half the year it's in my cold closet, so that probably helps. My cold Alaska closet, which doesn't have very good insulation over there, so it stays nice and cold. Oh dear. It's on my, the oil is on my table now. I gotta rub that in. Okay. Anyway, that's been my February so far. My perfume and my reading life. Just wanted to share. Go forth and prosper.